Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P Diddy,
a.k.a. Prison Daddy.
Sean Combs, Sean John,
Brother Love.
Brother Love. Damn. Hey, this dude does got about 6 or 7 names, huh? But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, the long arm of the law eventually came down hard and arrested him, late last night or yesterday evening?
Sometime yesterday.
I woke up to it because I took a nap. I took a nap around 4 or 5, or somewhere 5 or 6. When I woke up later on, I saw it. So I was like, wow, I fell asleep when this dude just got arrested. So he's currently in custody right now.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Reggie was the first person I saw reporting it.
Oh, okay. Reggie called this like, I don't know, a while back.
I saw him claim to have predicted September.
And I believe today marks the first day that the head of Death Row and the head of Bad Boy are in jail at the same time on the same day.
That's deep.
Yeah, because we would have never thought this in the 90s. The two biggest hip-hop labels that are producing the biggest music, the biggest artists, selling the most records. You got to admit, even though we West Coast and we Death Row, but Bad Boy was doing their thing. They had Mace, they had Biggie, they had
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. And now both the CEOs of the two biggest record companies in the 1990s are in jail.
That's ironic as can be.
Only in hip hop, right?
I mean, thus far, you're right.
Or the film industry.
Yeah. But what y'all think? The state of California couldn't charge Diddy when that Cassie video came out because the statute of limitations expired. But I was reading over some of the Fed documents, and they are including that Cassie video as part of the indictment.
And the way they break it down into technicalities, he in trouble.
He's in trouble for something. It's just a matter of how far they go. But, you know, because I work in this legal area, you know what our motto is, right?
Innocent until?
Innocent until proven guilty. So I got to...
I think that's outdated.
That's cap.
You think so?
Definitely.
Yeah, but if you're the defense team, that's the philosophy from today all the way until trial.
But if you go with that presumption, I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. I think you mentally need to work from guilty until proven innocent a lot of times.
So you're thinking that he should negotiate some sort of deal?
I mean, I don't know the details enough to make that assessment. However, the way it looked like it's piled up on, you know, the average person in the game might be already considering a deal. If they was in the game, like, you know, he probably thought he was going to be able to avoid all this and not really being in the game. So he might not be dealing with that level of reality yet.
I think having that mindset, guilty until proven innocent, but the other way around, I think that just not just expecting the worst and hoping for the best. That's all that is. Because you know they don't serve as a fair. You serving as raw deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know everyone says the feds have this incredible high conviction rate, and it's very difficult to fight them. They have unlimited resources, and they come at you with multiple prosecutors. But let me remind everyone in the hip hop community, Irv Gotti and his brother were in the same position about a decade ago.
But they didn't really.
Where everyone thought, no, if you read the headlines, they was washed up. They're going to prison. They're connected to Supreme. Supreme's connected to all this other stuff. Oh, they're going down. They took it to trial. They took it to the box, and they came back not guilty. And the government spent, I don't know how many millions of dollars to prosecute them.
You said this was when?
A decade ago or so.
I think it was quite a bit more than a decade.
Early 2000s?
Almost 20 years, bro.
Almost 20 years?
If not 20.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely was before 2014.
Well, we ain't got all the facts in front of us though, but I think they didn't really want them though. They just wanted to separate them from what's the boy name? What's the boy name from New York?
Supreme McGriff?
They wanted to separate them and cut off any means of finances that they could have aided them with. You know what I'm saying? That's all they want. They want to cripple him.
You were absolutely right, Spider. This was 2005, so this was 19 years ago. But what is your point in bringing that up? This happened a long time ago.
It's kind of like when somebody they on an indictment, but they low on an indictment, so they don't get banged like you think they would. I was just saying it to say like they whole motive of even coming at them was like really to cripple that dude and cut off his fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we're saying all that in hindsight, but when it was happening in live in real time, everyone thought they was washed up.
Right.
I brought the time frame because if it happens once in 20 years, I mean,
Oh yeah, it's hard to take them to trial
it's like
and win.
who would even reference that? Because I think the ST charge, according to the press conference, is the most serious charge that they trying to go after. And back then, I don't think STs was even a thing, but it's a big thing now.
Yeah, it wasn't a big thing back then, and it's kind of creeped into the criminal justice system like in a big way in the last decade.
Indeed.
But you said people beating the feds.
Yeah.
Don't many people do it.
Not too many people go to trial.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think too many people even go that they don't go the distance though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they do have a lot of trials, but they mostly end in guilty verdicts. I worked on a few. I've had very little success fighting the feds, but we've had a little bit. In fact, one of the cases I'm currently on right now, I think it's going to get dismissed. Not 100% certain, but I'm trying to remember this other Fed case where a guy won. But yeah, it's rare, but it could happen. And you know, the way as arrogant as Diddy is, don't you think he's probably saying, if I put up enough lawyers, I put up enough money, I can fight each and every one of these charges?
You mean,
Go ahead.
he may be delusional enough to believe that, yeah. But you see what happened to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
R. Kelly didn't have half as much as seemed like of the elements that Diddy got.
I don't think it's gonna be arrogance. I think it's just he can't see himself doing the time. So a straight person, we be like, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna be back. As long as I'm you know what I'm saying, got a date. Him, he just can't see himself doing that time. I believe that'd be his like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you definitely got to have money, because I heard Irv Gotti in an interview after the trial was all over basically saying that it took all of their money to fight the government, you know?
But Diddy is, I find ironic being incarcerated with all these charges of all these freaky behavior and all these men that's been trapped away from that might have interests like that. It's going to be hard for him to just walk around regular.
Hey, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it anyway, even though I might get bashed. But I done heard from a couple sources and people that done been in and out the feds that the DC card got a culture at doing what they do with men.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who was the guy out there?
Wayne Perry.
No. Rayful Edmonds.
Melvin Butler boy.
He was one of the top drug dealers in D.C., and apparently he liked to, I don't know, dabble around with the same sex.
They say the DC dudes is gangsters, they steppers, they got a strong card, but then that's what they F with. They do that out, that, you know what I'm saying, that type of behavior.
Yeah. All right, I got this clip on the Diddy arrest indictment. Run that clip.
Just happened this morning. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. We wanted to make sure we gave people some of the details because it's a story I know many are interested in. Sean P. Diddy Combs has been arrested in Manhattan after a grand jury indictment. So it was literally just happened late last night. Sean P. Diddy Combs was taken into custody by the U.S. Southern District of New York and by the U.S. Marshals Service at about 8:30 p.m. at the hotel where he was staying, the Park Hyatt on 57th Street. The indictment and the charges against him remain sealed by the federal government, but we do know that this was an investigation that was led by the Homeland Security Department, specifically HSI, which often investigates sex trafficking cases. Quote, the March raids that we all brought everybody live coverage of at the time demonstrated that they were converging on his mansion in Los Angeles. He was then later, there was a lot of speculation as to exactly where he was and whether he was fleeing. They could be seen carrying out electronics. And all of this is in the context of a lot of the lawsuits and videos that have come out about Combs since, I guess, the last couple of years, past relationships, violence, and many of the other stories that have been alleged against him. But obviously, I mean, it's a titanic development, not only in the case against him, but kind of looking at the entire music industry, something that's been trailing him for almost 30 years, and very, very interested to see what is in that unsealed, or in that currently sealed indictment against him. Southern District of New York, again, a very...
And what I gather from that news clip, if he got arrested at a hotel, that just means they're monitoring him. They following him. They're watching everywhere he goes. So I know we talked off camera. He could have went out of the country, out of the state. But if they're watching every move, that's going to be difficult for him to do.
You think they would have caught a flight right along with him, huh?
They probably would have stopped the flight from taking off, you know, if he was taking off from a private airport or I mean, using a private plane on a regular airport. They would have communicated with the tower and said, oh, stop that plane. Bro's not allowed to go anywhere. So, damn, you got taken into custody while you was at a hotel. Ain't that bizarre? And since that news clip that we just heard, that was last night, the indictment has been unsealed, and you made some reference to it earlier, Spider. Some freak off shit?
Well, yeah, I saw a press conference, and a part of the information that was released was that they located over 1,000 bottles of lube or oil or something like that.
Baby oil.
Yeah.
Hey, how the hell can a lubricant be evidence?
Baby oil is not a lubricant, though. It is just funny that, you know, baby oil is shiny. You feel me?
No, but it's definitely a lubricant.
Well, anything is a lubricant, I guess, if it's like lotion or something.
But what I'm saying, yeah, lotion, baby oil. But how is lotion or baby oil, whatever, how is that evidence?
It's probably based on testimony of some of the alleged victims.
Yeah, that we don't know yet. Yeah, they must have characterized the assault as including heavy lubrication.
Yeah,
it's got to be in the indictment somewhere.
They tried to insinuate they got multiple AR-15s with the serial numbers scratched off, and they tried to insinuate that they grabbed the guns and they were glad to find them because a lot of the testimony insinuates they were afraid to tell him no because of the presence of weapons. They shaping this like cold, bro.
Hey, you know how the DA would like to paint a picture and do this little word fuck shit. Hey, I don't like referring to baby oil as lubricant because, you know, lubricant just give you a sexual ring.
It depends on the context. Like my son was just lubing up some of his bike parts.
If you got 1,000 bottles in a room like 50 Shades of Grey.
It depends on how
Was it 1,000? Because I didn't want to say the number earlier and exaggerate. Was it 1,000?
That's the reported number.
When you go take your car to get an oil change, sometimes they lube.
They call it lube.
Yeah, they lube. They lube.
Jiffy Lube.
Jiffy Lube. There you go. Yeah, lube. It depends the context. In mechanic talk, lubricants is everything. You need lubes in the pistons. You need lubes in the bar bearings. You need
baby
lube.
oil is not an ideal lube, but it's a lube.
I throw baby oil on my clipper blade sometimes just to get the blades going good.
But it's I know what he's saying. It's that
right. So
slippery that ain't really.
So if your wife came in after getting out the shower, you say, "Alex, you have any lube?" What you thinking she talking about? You thinking she on some? Dang, baby, we just ate dinner. Wait a little later.
Hey, I bet you there's some white folks that say it just the way you say it. You got any lube?
It's black folks that say it like that now.
Yeah.
It used to be a white term, but it's kind of like gotten more general.
I remember watching porns in the 80s when I was a kid, and the word lube would be used. You know, doing massages, lube my body.
But look what you said.
Yeah, it was a new subject, man.
I'm very uncomfortable if my daughter like, Dad, you see the lube?
That's why it's used in that context, because I believe it was not just in a storage thing in the back, like perhaps for resale. I think it was reported and utilized, and that's why they describing it the way they are. The defense is going to have a doozy of a time explaining thousands of bottles of oil.
That's crazy, man. So yeah, the indictment was sealed, and it's the United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, and aka
How
Love.
long do you
Brother
think he
Love.
gonna remain being the only defendant?
Oh man,
Probably like a week.
who knows? You know, I was just saying to myself about a week or two ago. I was like, are they ever gonna arrest Diddy? Was that just for show when they went to all these houses? I mean, how you go to all these houses and then not charge the dude?
What month was that when they did all that?
It's been at least 6 months. So the gap between the raids and the arrests was pretty lengthy. If I'm Diddy, I'm probably thinking, they ain't got nothing on me. Why would they wait so long?
He can't think that. No, he was nervous.
No, yeah, because part of the allegations now are intimidations of the witnesses since they did those raids. So he's been allegedly in communication trying to press people to cooperate on his behalf and even attempted to pay is what they saying.
Now, they unsealed the indictment the following day after the arrest, and I'm going to put a link to this 14-page indictment, but I'll just read a couple lines from it. It says here that Sean Combs, the defendant, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan, L.A., and a variety of U.S.-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, Combs Global, and then at times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs engaged in a persistent, pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. This abuse at times was verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction, the others, the unnamed others,
Yep.
at times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. And I'll post the rest of this in the show notes, but this is a 14-page indictment. And those others that assisted Diddy, that got the girls, that flew them around, that put him here and put him there and got the rooms, they may eventually get charged too.
Do you think there's anything to do with Kevin Lyle stepping down?
You know, I don't know, but maybe Kevin Lyles realized, you know what, this is the end of my career. I'm too heavily tied into this guy. I was defending him at one. No, I think he was defending and then critical. He probably said it's time for me to just tap out. And he had a long career. What's the, you know what I'm saying?
That shit
And
get
look, who's in Bali right now?
Russ.
Russell Simmons.
Simmons.
Bro has had an illustrious career in hip hop.
Got no one to hold him, no one to fold him.
And he probably decided it's time for me to tap out. You know, I don't want to get caught up in none of this stuff. I made a lot of money. My little brother made a lot of money. Who was run from DMC. And you got to know when to step down and walk away, right?
I think Russell Simmons is smart. He got out of Dodge, and he was smart. So I don't know if Puffy wasn't able to get out of Dodge, or he just didn't want to run. I don't know.
What was the phrase you said, Spider, about knowing when to?
No one to hold him and no one to fold him.
That's right. That's that song, man. What was that song? Kenny Rogers?
I believe so, but it's also a term just
Yeah.
with poker, I believe.
Yeah. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold. And you know, there should be quite a few people that's tapping out right now that was hitching their wagon to Diddy all these years. Who were some of Diddy's biggest defenders?
I just think the boy
Stevie J.
Stevie
J.
and the boy from Texas. Not Young Thug, but
Slim Thug.
Slim Thug.
Okay.
He spoke in his defense too.
Well, I feel like we should defend. Let me just say this. I know what we saw in the video was unexcusable, but at the same time, without a conviction, without this case going through the whole justice system, I wouldn't be against anybody standing by Diddy. I think right now people are going to be avoiding him like he's radioactivity. They're going to ignore him. They're going to not take his call anymore. And we do that to each other too many times.
But where do you draw that line? Because
Conviction.
wow, so
And once he's convicted,
In my life, I'm not going to leave it up to the system for me to decide if I believe certain things about an individual, because people can beat cases. We know money influence courts and all that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to let that be the bottom line, that kind of throws off our moral compass.
Yeah, you're right, because Bill Cosby was convicted, and it turned out he was unjustly convicted. And if you stood by Bill Cosby all the way to the end,
I did too. Oh,
I was going to say, you know, kudos to you if you stood by Bill Cosby all along.
I did.
So yeah, you have a point where maybe the conviction ain't enough to not stand by somebody, you know,
or lack of evidence for to satisfy the court, but you may have be 100% convinced this dude in the neighborhood doing something to young girls. We know for a fact.
Yeah.
But he go to court and beat it. So is we gonna let him? Oh, he cool, or is we gonna try to look at him different at least, or do something?
Well, if there wasn't enough evidence to convict him, but we all knew he was doing it, then they didn't do their job.
Of course, but
you know,
yeah, of course.
So somebody probably didn't want to come forward. They didn't get enough evidence. But I'm saying, even though it's not looking good for Diddy, I'm not hating on those who are still standing by him, like maybe Stevie J and bro from Texas. We got to stand by each other, because if I'm in a situation, I want the whole community rallying behind me. You know.